Ladies and gentlemen, we are 4 months away from elections in Gujarat. And once again, it is a challenge for every party that is making the headlines today. Gujarat is a state that is dear to the Prime Minister, a state that has voted for the BJP based on the goodwill of Narendra Modi, a son of their soil, who is now governing the country. Gujarat is also the state where two other parties are burning the midnight oil to wrest the state away from the Saffron Party. A triangular fight between the BJP, Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party is in the offing in the state of Gujarat. Is Delhi model the way forward for Gujarat, or is it the Modi model all the way? Times Now ETG poll brings you the answers to that question and much more. Over the next 1 hour, I'll get you the mood and the pulse of the people of Gujarat. Let's take a dive into this survey. But before I get in there, I just want to tell you that the sample size for the questions part is about 4,500 people who have been called, and also physical questioning. That is the methodology for the questions that we've asked. And as far as the seat projection is concerned, the sample size is of about 18,500 people who have been physically met and of course contacted through phones as well. So here goes the Gujarat survey on your screens, ladies and gentlemen. And the first question that we asked the people of Gujarat: what is the biggest issue in Gujarat elections? Inflation, 49% of the people say inflation. Unemployment, 26% people. Development, 14%. Caste and religion, 11%. So inflation coming out to be the biggest issue this elections in Gujarat. Also, the next question we asked: how big a factor is the Aam Aadmi Party in Gujarat elections? Kingmaker, say 33% of the people. Challenger to the Congress Party, 16%. Vote splitter, 11% people feel it will be a vote splitter. Not a factor at all. 40% of the people say Aam Aadmi Party is not a factor at all. Question number 3 that we asked people of Gujarat: what role will Revdi politics or the freebies play in Gujarat elections? BJP, Aam Aadmi Party will benefit from this, say 43% of the people. BJP will benefit, 12% of the people. Congress will benefit, 23% of the people. No effect at all, say 22% of the people. The next question that we asked people of Gujarat: will Delhi liquor scam dent Aam Aadmi Party's performance? A lot, say 40% of the people. A little bit, say 11% of the people. So at least 51% of the people feel that there will be impact of the liquor question, liquor politics in Gujarat elections. No effect, say 28%, and can't say 21% of the people. Let's go to question number 5 on the survey, and we asked people of Gujarat: will Hardik Patel's exit dent the Congress Party's performance? A lot. Yes, a lot, say 25% of the people. Average, say 7%. A little bit, say 32%. Can't say 36%. So Congress on the back foot. Some impact of Hardik Patel's exit on this particular issue on the Congress Party. Let's take a look at our panel, and let's take a round from them on what they think the people's verdict. Is it in consonance with what our experts on the panel feel? Joining us tonight, Ashutosh, political analyst; Mohan Singh Rajput, General Secretary of Gujarat Congress; Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst; Jasmine Shah, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party; Jem Rook, political analyst; R. Rajagopalan, senior journalist, with me in the studio. But my first question goes to Mr. Amit Malviya, national spokesperson of the BJP. And Amit Malviya, even though the BJP has uninterrupted power in Gujarat over the last 3 decades, this time around, do you think it's a tricky one, given the fact that unemployment and inflation are big issues as far as the people's top of the mind recall issues are concerned?
Well, Navika, look, every election is unique. and every election has its own challenges.
But is inflation a mere Gujarat-centric phenomena? The answer is no. The world is reeling under inflation right now, given the blockage in the global supply chain, the war in Russia and Ukraine, which has choked up the food supplies, the oil prices going up as a result of it. And therefore, you are seeing cascading effect of that, not just in India, but across the globe. In fact, India is the most insulated as far as inflation is concerned. Some of the other countries, particularly the Western world, like America, Canada, and whole of Europe, is far more impacted by the phenomena that's been unfolding. And let's not forget, we are talking in the backdrop of the severest pandemic that human civilization has seen in the last century. So given that, and given how pragmatic the people of Gujarat are, I'm sure they understand where this is coming from. Most of them happen to be from business community, and therefore they all do realize the impact and how it has affected businesses and supply chains. So while it is a factor, it is not something that is unique to Gujarat. Look at the other determinants that have come up in your own survey. Liquor scam, is it denting the prospects of the newbie Aam Aadmi Party, which is trying to get a foothold in Gujarat? The answer is yes. Their so-called education model is collapsing. We've just seen how another scam has come to the fore as far as education is concerned in the Aam Aadmi Party-run government in Delhi. And again, the whole Revdi politics culture that Arvind Kejriwal wants to perpetuate clearly is not something that will resonate with the people of Gujarat, because they are very entrepreneurial. They are people who believe in empowerment, believe in the value of working to make an earning, and therefore it is not something that Kejriwal will be able to sell. Coming to the Congress, the primary challenger for the BJP in Gujarat for several decades now, while they have a committed vote share, it is obvious that they are struggling to sort out their leadership issue. The exit of Hardik Patel in some ways is going to impact the Congress, which is what your survey also seems to suggest, that over 50% of the people believe that he will have some sort of impact coming from the influential Patidar community, as he does in the Congress, had taken him in with a lot of fanfare, but could not give him the space to do much. So in all, it seems like while it may make for a three-way contest, the ground reality is far more in favor of the BJP. And not to forget, people of Gujarat vote for Prime Minister Modi, the son of the soil, their own, who is right now the Prime Minister of the country. And that factor always is a dominating narrative when you go to Gujarat. And a lot of people, including the opposition, when they go out to fight the Gujarat election, their entire effort is to dent the credibility of Prime Minister Modi. And people of Gujarat have time and again not fallen to trap as far as this narrative is concerned. So while I take note of the findings that your survey has put forth, I remain confident that the BJP will come back to power again in Gujarat. And Aam Aadmi Party, even before the elections roll on, will be completely exposed in Delhi, and people of Gujarat will be asking them questions. It now remains for the Congress how they will resolve their leadership vacuum in Gujarat, and whether they will be able to pose a formidable challenge to the BJP. Only time will tell.
To the point, incisive, Amit Malviya. Jasmine Shah, I want to ask you first, because the scams have been mentioned, and both the liquor policy and now the education scam has been put out in public domain. And in the survey, the question is, Aam Aadmi Party is not a factor. Say 40% of the respondents who have been surveyed by ETG Research. Where do you think the Aam Aadmi Party stands as far as a challenger's role in Gujarat is concerned? Will you be a challenger to the BJP or just to the Congress party for the opposition space in Gujarat?
Navika, first, let me congratulate Times Now for doing a very comprehensive survey of 18,000 citizen responses. And as the survey shows up, that Aam Aadmi Party is going to be actually the defining factor. And probably it shows that for the first time in Gujarat's politics, there is a serious third front, and that the name for that third front is Aam Aadmi Party, and it is Arvind Kejriwal. As far as some of the other points that were the data that showed up, unemployment and inflation continue to be the biggest issue across India. And what does it show? It shows that the life of a common man is in ruins. ये जो गुजरात मॉडल कहते थे कि नहीं बेरोजगारी and inflation doesn't affect Gujarat is very prosperous. This opens up that the Aam Aadmi feels the pain of PM Modi's and BJP's pan-national policies, even in Gujarat. And if you talk about who's doing anything about inflation, the people of Gujarat can see today. All that Amit Malviya and BJP have is excuses. Globally ye ho gaya, globally wo ho gaya. What do they do in India? They put GST on atta, dal, chini. That has never happened in the 75 years of India's history. On the other side, they see Arvind Kejriwal, who's saying that I will use the taxpayers' money and give you some relief in your day-to-day life. That is how inflation can be fought. If you can strengthen the pockets of the Aam Aadmi, give them free and quality schools, free and quality healthcare, so that they don't have to spend out of their pockets for these kind of services. Give the poorest people free electricity, water. They're seeing that. On unemployment, Navika, it is only Mr. Kejriwal today who has a narrative. We have done this in Delhi. Just a few days back, you heard about his promise or guarantee, as we call it, on unemployment, be it giving jobs in the government sector, be it creating jobs in the private sector. We are giving something concrete. And that is the reason, Mr. Amit Malviya first decided to attack the Aam Aadmi Party rather than the Congress, because they know that this Gujarat election is going to be unlike anything else. This is the time when people have a real hope. The arrogance that Gujarat BJP unit has, you should talk to the people of Gujarat. None of the leaders is approachable. They talk about liquor scam in Delhi, but the people of Gujarat know what the biggest liquor scam in the history of India is happening. There is prohibition in Gujarat, but every day you are catching, thousands of liters of liquor. People are dying because of spurious liquor. Who is coming in the center of it? It is always the BJP leaders. It is always the role of the police that is questioned. Drugs is being found. So, the reality is that Gujarat today is in ruins. There is deep distress. Let me not say, mince any words. Gujarat is in deep distress. And that is why, in 2 to 3 months, Aam Aadmi Party's curve has really gone up. And you will see what kind of a fight. We are not here to challenge Congress or BJP. We are here to change the fortunes of the people of Gujarat. And that is what we are committed to do.
मोहन सिंह राजपूत जी जनरल सेक्रेटरी हैं गुजरात कांग्रेस के, और मोहन सिंह राजपूत जी, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूं, हार्दिक पटेल छोड़कर चले गए, चलिए वो तो थी गुजरात की कहानी, पर दिल्ली में बड़े बड़े दिग्गज नेता रोज छोड़कर जा रहे हैं। कभी आनंद शर्मा, आज तो गुलाम नबी आजाद साहब ने जो चिट्ठी लिखी है उसमें से तो ये पता चलता है कि रिमोट कंट्रोल से चलती है कांग्रेस पार्टी, और रिमोट कंट्रोल जो है वो राहुल गांधी के हाथ में भी नहीं है, वो सिक्योरिटी गार्ड्स के हाथ में है और पीएस के हाथ में है। ये चिट्ठी में लिखा है गुलाम नबी आजाद साहब ने, और 40 साल से ज्यादा का उनका पूरा इतिहास रहा है कांग्रेस पार्टी में। मैं पूछना चाहती हूं कि आज लोग ये कह रहे हैं कि जहां बड़े बड़े दिग्गज नेताओं की कोई रिस्पेक्ट नहीं है, तो वो लोग जनता के बारे में क्या सोचेंगे? अगर बड़े लीडर्स को मिलकर उनसे बात नहीं कर सकते तो जनता की बातें क्या सुनेंगे? क्या इस बात का खामियाजा कांग्रेस को होगा आने वाले चुनाव में? और अब आम आदमी पार्टी तीसरे फोर्स में जो निकल कर आ रही है सर्वे में भी और लोगों की जुबान पर भी, तो क्या कांग्रेस का अब सफाया होने वाला है गुजरात में?
मैडम, मैं आपको सबसे पहले बताना चाहता हूं कि गुजरात कांग्रेस पार्टी देश की सबसे पुरानी पार्टी है और कांग्रेस एक जन आंदोलन है। आंदोलन में लोग आते रहते हैं, जाते रहते हैं। कांग्रेस ने सबको बहुत कुछ दिया है और आज भी कांग्रेस लड़ने के लिए हर बल हर ताकत से तैयार है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी हो या आम आदमी पार्टी हो, लोकशाही के अंदर हम हर पार्टी का स्वागत करते हैं। और गुजरात के अंदर खास करके आम आदमी पार्टी और कोई भी पार्टी, आज तक कई क्षेत्रीय पार्टियों ने प्रयास किया है लेकिन वो आज तक सफल नहीं हो पाए। गुजरात की जनता बहुत समझदार है, उसे किसी चीज को बताने की जरूरत नहीं है। उसने हमेशा भाजपा और कांग्रेस तीसरे पार्टी का कोई अवकाश नहीं रहा है गुजरात में, और आम आदमी पार्टी का भी इस क्षेत्र गुजरात के अंदर कोई जगह रहने वाली नहीं है।
तो आपको लगता है कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला? जयमरुख, हाउ डू यू सी द नंबर्स? बिकॉज you've always been our resident number cruncher. Now you've taken off another mantle, but are you still looking at the numbers, and what does Gujarat look like to you considering that you also come from Gujarat, to Gujarat mein kem cho, majama? You'll have to unmute yourself, Jay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on mute. Majama, Navika, Majama. Thank you. I mean, it's nice. I didn't know you speak a little bit of Gujarati as well. It sounds good. Okay. Now, look at these numbers. I think there are two sets of data in this, which is like very, they stand out. One stands out because it is so common and therefore, I won't say not relevant, but sort of something that is always surmised in the discussion. That is, what are the key issues? Right? Inflation, unemployment, they come at inflation, no doubt comes at top. Inflation is at the top in Europe. It's, in all the YouGov polls in the United States, it's at the top. It's at the top in Australia. I'm in surprise it's topping here as well. So it's something that's sort of expected. However, I do not know what the final numbers look like. But something that should be disturbing to the AAP is 40% of the respondents say it's not a factor. I mean, given the amount of high voltage campaign that has been put in by the AAP, they're having town halls, they are putting up, rhetorical questions. 40% come and say, it's not a factor, which means somewhere by their own assessments, their starting curve may be good, but it means somewhere there is a distance to travel, right? So perhaps the only thing that the AAP may be banking on is the collapse of the Congress. Yeah, but that's some sort of a vicarious pleasure. I really don't know how much it can add to them. So that's point number one. Point number two, we're still a little early in the game. A lot of the candidates are yet to be declared. And, one thing, Navika, which perhaps, I even want to put to the AAP panelists here, the party has made a pitch for cleaner governance, for unique model or, what they claim to be unique model of governance. Yeah, I'm an analyst. I do see a lot of ex-Congress and ex-BJP men in the first 20 candidates that they have declared. I mean, practically that seems to have been a criteria in giving out AAP tickets. So is the AAP trying to balance that not a factor perception? And, in that process, is the AAP losing the very uniqueness, it stands to claim about? So that, I think, should be a point we should discuss today.
Well, Jasmine Shah, do you want to respond to that?
Sure, Navika. I think these are very early. First of all, I want to first respond on the fact that, AAP being not a factor for 40% people. Let's understand that these polls tend to be directional. We are in August, we have a good 4 months left. If 3 months back you had done a survey, AAP would have not been in single digits. Today, 33% people are saying that AAP is going to be the kingmaker. Many people are saying that it will challenge BJP. So this trend is exactly what we have seen in states like Punjab, in many other places where AAP was nowhere in the realm. I think today AAP stands as a very recognizable face, a recognizable option. And in the months to come, I hope you repeat the survey and you show that how the lead consolidates. As far as AAP's candidates is concerned, yes, we have announced our first batch of candidates. There are 182 seats. And as a party, we have never said that, jo Congress or BJP jisko join kar liya, wo achhoot hai. There are many good people who feel disillusioned, who feel alienated. In the last series of few days, we are seeing some very good Congress faces who are resigning. So if the person has a clean background, if we feel that they can gel within the larger ideology of AAP, at the end of the day, we want to serve the people and we will, this is an open invitation. There are a lot of people in BJP and Congress and elsewhere, everywhere in the country who feel that there is no future left of the country. The direction in which the BJP is taking or Congress is taking is something that they do not identify with. AAP today is an option as much as for the people as well as for others who are in politics and who want to seriously change the fortunes and the destiny of the country.
Well,
I have just one question, Navika, for Mr. Shah. Jasmine, now many of those candidates are people who really, I'll just pick up one statement of Kejriwal from 2013. He would say that, I'm happy we don't have those so-called experienced politicians. We don't have a baggage with us. right? Now here I am seeing in the candidate list of AAP many people who
have
been
the
fighting
baggage.
elections in 12, 7.
No, but
Are
you
these
made
the
one
sort of
statement.
people
You
who
made
say are differentiators?
No, you made one statement, but you did not repeat many other time. Mr. Kejriwal had said कि देश के अच्छे लोग भले वो कहीं से भी आए, उनका स्वागत है, लेकिन हम बीजेपी और कांग्रेस का कचरा कतई नहीं लेंगे. He has said that. So let's make
तो बीजेपी के
that
टिकट
statement on record as well.
कांग्रेस और
You know, good
बीजेपी
people,
टिकट पे जो हारे
good
हुए
people
हैं
are
वो
welcome
उनका कचरा
irrespective
नहीं
of
है
whichever
क्या?
party that they are.
No, so the certifying agency in the Aam Aadmi Party doesn't think the people who have left or lost from
And they
BJP
have
and
lost
Congress are
election
not
in the other
kachra. But
party.
let me get in the other 5 questions, the next 5 questions on the screen. Will the BJP gain or lose by repeated changing of chief ministers? Gain, say 33%, lose, say 29%. Neither gain nor loss, say 38%. So frankly, they don't really know or care who the chief minister is, because it is Modi and Amit Shah that power Gujarat, and that's the way it looks like in this survey too. Question number 7, will the issue of polarization continue to dominate the election? Yes, say 42% people, no, say 29, maybe say 10%, and can't say 19%. But 42% of the people know that India, any state you may go to, but polarization is the formula that appears in every election. Question number 8, is development a relevant issue in the Gujarat elections? Yes, say 61%. So if people actually expect, 61% people expect development to be a relevant issue, will that be advantage BJP? We don't know. No, say 15% of the people. Only discussion will happen, say 12% of the people. Can't say 30%, 13% of the people. Next question, has the BJP fulfilled the promises it had made in Gujarat? Yes, almost done, 45%, no, say 39%, can't say 16%, but 45% people feel BJP is delivering on its promises. And question number 10, how true is the opposition's allegation that BJP is misusing agencies? Yes, say 40%, no, say 36%, can't say 24% of the people. Ashutosh ji, I want to ask you if development is top of the mind, and between misuse of agencies, 40% and 36% doesn't, not too much of a difference. Do you think the BJP's report card is going to hold them in good stead?
Navika, Gujarat is a classic example where who is the chief minister doesn't matter. Mr. Bhupen Patel is the chief minister. People will vote for Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah. That's a reality. So state government performance is not important. Neither the presence of the chief minister or any minister matter over there. Now the issue is how popular is Mr. Modi in Gujarat. I think that is going to decide. And in that sense, it's a very, very formidable challenge for the Congress party. And it's I don't even say that the Aam Aadmi Party can be in a position to defeat BJP in that sense. But Congress will have a very tough battle, because Congress at the central level and Congress in the state, their leadership is not well defined. The leadership doesn't match up to the charisma of Mr. Modi. But if Aam Aadmi Party is thinking that they can do something by talking about the freebies, I don't think it's going to matter. For the simple reason, because Punjab and Delhi were different and Gujarat is different. In Delhi, there was a leader called Arvind Kejriwal who had charisma, probably can match up to Mr. Modi. In Punjab, Bhagwant Singh Mann has been phenomenally popular, and Akali Dal was very, very discredited party over a period of time. So these two advantages were in favor of Aam Aadmi Party, that worked in their favor. In Gujarat today, neither Mr. Modi is discredited, nor Mr. Amit Shah is discredited, nor even the Congress leadership is discredited over there. And there is no leader of any stature in Gujarat, no disrespect to anybody, but there's no leader of any stature in Gujarat which can emerge from the Aam Aadmi Party and can challenge. Thirdly, Aam Aadmi Party has contested election in Gujarat earlier, but their vote share has been absolutely very, very low. Very, very low. So to build a party, to create a structure in every part of the state is a formidable task. That can happen only something extraordinary or exceptionally happen. But yes, BJP has to watch out in the urban centers, because in urban centers like in Surat, like in Ahmedabad, in Vadodara and Rajkot, Aam Aadmi Party can certainly cut BJP's votes. Because if you track the 3-4 assembly elections in Gujarat, you will get to know that in urban centers, BJP is getting votes almost from 56% to 73%, whereas in rural areas, they have been lacking behind Congress Party, especially in Saurashtra region. So if Aam Aadmi Party is emerging stronger in Gujarat, which I do not believe, then it will be more distressing for the BJP than to the Congress Party.
Well, Tehseen Poonawalla, would you want to respond to that? Because, you know, the swan song for the Congress Party is virtually been sung by Ashutosh.
No, I don't think there's any swan song sung for the Congress. And I think that the Congress, lot of obituaries were written for the Congress in the past, and they'll continue to be written in the future, but the Congress will continue to be one of the most relevant and important national parties in our political context. Let's just talk about the state of Gujarat, where I do agree with Ashutosh that the Congress is extremely, extremely strong even today in rural Gujarat, and the Aam Aadmi Party seems to be an urban Gujarat phenomenon. So the BJP has perhaps a little bit more to lose out there. But yes, the Aam Aadmi Party may make a slight impact in the elections. We have to see how that works. But there are 2 or 3 factors that this survey has actually taken us to. A, everybody in Gujarat, or a majority of people, do want to talk about development. I think the number was 61%. And that says that, you know, development has been a myth in Gujarat. In fact, I've written several columns, including for the Times of India, where I've said how the Gujarat model of development has not just been a myth. Under Mr. Modi, and I'm saying this very responsibly, the Gujarat state GDP has actually fallen. It was the highest under the Congress. It's been, Mr. Modi has actually been a very bad performing Chief Minister of Gujarat in terms of economy. On the Human Development Index, Gujarat performs extremely bad. In fact, the worst amongst all the big states in our country, including West Bengal. And you remember Mr. Modi famously saying that women in Gujarat are anemic because they are perhaps into fashion and don't want to drink milk. So Gujarat continues to lag behind on these, and there have been no modern industry, including cyber, that has come into Gujarat for one of the reasons that the Gujarat government, BJP government in particular, has not invested in English education in primary schools, and therefore cyber education and cyber is not very big in Gujarat. Now let's come to the more pertinent points I'm making on the myth of Mr. Modi and the Gujarat development. You remember, and I remember that day when I was with you in the Times Now studio, 2017, when that seaplane was flying over Gujarat. What happened to that seaplane? 2 days later, not 2 months, not 2 years, 2 days later, that plane never took off. They already is a seaplane in Maharashtra, there's a seaplane in Kerala, but this never took off. Mr. Modi's claims of first seaplane in India. Why? Because like that seaplane crashed into the sea, Mr. Modi's big talks of development have completely fallen hollow. There are 2 factors that are extremely important in Gujarat.
So development is actually in Rajasthan, not in Gujarat. Is that what you're saying?
Development, actually, people will remember, yes, they'll remember, we'll talk about Gujarat versus Gujarat. They gave the Congress 149 seats, and they'll remember how under Congress, Gujarat actually prospered, and Mr. Modi and Keshubhai Patel before him inherited a prosperous state. If anyone on this panel says that Gujarat was not prosperous before Keshubhai Patel and Mr. Modi came in, I think they're talking from their hat.
Nobody is saying that, but it is true that for 3 decades, Congress has not been able to beat.
I'm coming to
Anti-incumbency has not been a factor in Gujarat. Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla, would you care to explain why?
Yes, I'm coming to that. It's not been a factor because, like your survey says, majority of the people do expect Hindu-Muslim issues will come up, and I am guaranteeing you, please record it, please play it on the day of the election.
So, pichli baar Amit Malviya, last time around, who went temple hopping? Last elections in 2017.
One second. I'm
No,
sorry,
no,
you have to allow
no.
me to finish.
Who
I'm
was
sorry.
the
I'm
seasonal
sorry. I've
Hindu
come on your
whose
show.
Janeu
I'm sorry,
came
you have
out?
to allow me to
Whose
finish.
Janeu
Please.
came out and what time
That
of the
doesn't
year?
matter.
1
That's not
minute, Tehseen,
polarization.
hold on.
I'll
This
explain
is
to you
not
what
a rally
polarization.
speech, and
It's not
neither
a
is
rally
this an
speech. Please
article
allow me
which
to
you are
finish.
writing for 2,500 words
Please
in a
allow me to
magazine.
finish.
Just hold on. This is a debate. This is a
Why
debate
would
where
you
the
not
other
allow me to
side can
finish?
come in.
You've
I'll
not
come
stopped
back to
anybody
you.
else.
I'll
No,
come
I
back.
want to make
I'll
a
come
point.
back to
I
you.
want to make- I'm sorry,
Elections,
I want to make a
Gujarat
point.
में
I'm sorry, I want to
elections
make a point.
2022 में and 2027 में भी होंगे. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. You're
Please
not
allow me
going
to make a
anywhere.
point.
I'll
I
come
just
back
want
to
to
you.
make-
But
I want to
Amit
finish my
Malviya,
point.
Amit Malviya,
finish my
respond to
point.
the development question and the question of Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla.
You know, Navika, there has been this propensity in the Congress supporters, in fact, the Congress party as well, where they actually try and run down the assessment of the people of Gujarat for having backed the BJP for 3 decades. This happens election after election. They come to the state and they question the Gujarati Asmita. They question the wisdom of the Gujarati people who have backed BJP and Chief Minister Narendra Modi, now Prime Minister Narendra Modi, purely for putting Gujarat on not just India's map, but on the world map. And this is exactly what irks people of Gujarat, and they continue to vote for the BJP. He speaks about Hindu-Muslim polarization issue. You think people of Gujarat have forgotten how Narendra Modi and Amit Shah were hounded by people who made an industry out of the 2000 Gujarat rally? You think they have forgotten that Prime Minister Modi was called in for questioning for 10 hours and he walked in without a murmur, without any protest, shosha, tamasha as we saw in Delhi when Sonia and Rahul Gandhi were called for investigation? Do you think people of Gujarat have forgotten that Amit Shah was wrongly victimized for something that he had not even done? Do you think people of Gujarat have not taken this as a personal insult by the Congress party, by the leadership, Sonia and Rahul Gandhi? Do the Congress people realize that it was Sonia Gandhi who came and said that Modi was Maut ka Saudagar and then she lost the election squarely? So the truth is that the Congress must realize that the last thing they should do in this election is go to Gujarat and question the wisdom of the people.
That's
I want to
exactly
make
my
another
point. And
point.
Mr.
Just-
Rajagopalan,
Navika,
Mr.
just-
Rajagopalan, I want to come. 1 minute.
Navika, just give me 30 seconds.
Please allow me to respond.
Oh,
No,
okay.
you cannot allow Congress
This
get all these
entire
acquisitions. We are stopping.
this
Please allow me to
entire
respond.
AAP phenomena that is being spoken about, let me tell you, they rose in Delhi on the back of a anti-corruption movement. And Punjab, they were relevant because the politics had huge vacuum and people were done with the Akalis and the Congress. No other state, the Aam Aadmi Party has been relevant. And let me tell you, the people of Gujarat, if they turn up for Arvind Kejriwal's programs, is because they find him entertaining. You please ask the people there, they will tell you that they go for his programs because the man is full of hubris. But they are not going to vote for him. And you will see that in the elections. I bet when the results come out, I will come on your program and I will remind you of what I have said. The people of Gujarat are extremely pragmatic. They want to sell a broken education model to Gujarat where Prime Minister Modi has built an infrastructure which educates 3 lakh students. Arvind Kejriwal in his dream can't deliver a project that reaches or touches 3 lakh people. That is the difference between the ability of Prime Minister Modi and a rump of Arvind Kejriwal.
That's a low one. That's a low blow that you gave, Amit Malviya. Jasmine Shah, Tehseen, both raising their hands. I'm coming one by one. Just hold on. Jasmine Shah first, Tehseen after that.
Sure.
You know, it's interesting how BJP would like to see Aam Aadmi Party victories in Delhi and Punjab as complete stroke of luck. Very conveniently, they pulled themselves out of the equation in Punjab. क्या आपकी सरकार पंजाब में नहीं थी? अकाली दल had sunk the state of Punjab. आप भी तो उसके सहभागी थे. 3 लाख करोड़ का जो कर्ज है पंजाब के ऊपर वो किसने चढ़ाया? आपके नेताओं ने चढ़ाया. People got tired of these routine political parties, these brush political parties, and therefore they elected Aam Aadmi Party. दिल्ली में क्या बीजेपी नहीं थी? Was Delhi BJP never an option to the people of Delhi? Chalo, not in one election. What happened in 2020 elections? You got single digit. So the reality is wherever people know that they want a break from politics as usual. You have been running Gujarat for 3 decades. Tell me, have you provided schools and hospitals? Is there any one part of Gujarat that you can say that we've built Shandar education model? Come and check any of our schools. We went to the town in Bhavnagar of your education minister. Guess what? आपकी छतें टपक रही है, बच्चे है नहीं, बेंच है नहीं, जमीन पे बैठे हुए हैं, and this is after 75 years of independence. So people of Gujarat are slowly realizing that enough of politics of this and that and whataboutery. If they want to give one chance to Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, they have seen that this man works, this man delivers better schools, better education, bijli, pani, everything. Electricity rights in Gujarat is the highest.
You made a very important point. This man works.
Arvind
Kejriwal works and delivers. Rajagopalanji, I want to ask you.
I have to rebut.
He hasn't even.
last chance aa raha hai.
He hasn't even spoken yet. 1 minute. Democracy. And he's in the studio and hasn't spoken. You should be thankful to him.
But I respect Rajgopalji. Please give him the chance, but allow me to rebut, because a lot of points are made that are not fact.
Yes, life is all about rebutting people. But Rajagopalanji, Arvind Kejriwal works and delivers. That's the USP Jasmine Shah pointed out. What does then Modi stand for?
I totally disagree with Aam Aadmi Party representative. The reason being, Arvind Kejriwal is a big failure in Delhi, a big flop in Punjab, because very first day, Punjab Health Minister resigns. On the 7th year, the 3 months, the Aam Aadmi Party Health Minister is not coming out of the jail because of the ED fraud and CBI fraud. Now, Education Minister, 2 cases of CBI he is facing. How can he say that the government of Delhi model is better compared to Gujarat model? In Gujarat, Narendra Modi is being worshipped as a god because of Covaxin, Covishield. Each Gujarati is proud of Narendra Modi. The reason being, he got the timely co-vaccination. The vaccination completed in Gujarat, 100%. In no other state had that. Second thing, every school in Delhi, as the LG today has given a report that CVC inquiry is pending, that will also go to CBI. So therefore, 3 CBI cases against 3 ministers. You cannot be so. And I completely agree with Amit Malviya. Mr. Arvind Kejriwal is not only entertainment, he is totally an advertisement style of functioning. And moreover, in Gujarat, Arvind Kejriwal might try after 15-20 years, not in the 2022.
Well, I'm coming to you, Tehseen, because I'll take the next 3 questions and I'll come to you first before you shoot me down. But the next question that we asked, question number 11, which party can give a direct challenge and competition to the BJP in Gujarat? Congress say 30%. Aam Aadmi Party say 51% of the people, AIMIM say 8%, Triangular Fight say 11%. So 51% for the Aam Aadmi Party being the challenger, 30% for Congress Party. Just remember that, Tehseen Poonawalla, because you know what questions coming your way. Let me bring up the seat projections. If elections were to be held today in Gujarat, we are projecting, the ETG survey is projecting 115 to 125 seats for the BJP, Congress 39 to 44, Aam Aadmi Party 13 to 18, others 2 to 4. So while the success rate of the Aam Aadmi Party may not be to the extent of the Congress, the fact of the matter is that 13 to 18 seats on debut in Gujarat is the Aam Aadmi Party. And how much of this will impact elections of 2024? A lot say 50% of the people, not much say 27% people, and can't say 23% people. Tehseen Poonawalla, Congress, people don't even expect you to be a challenger, and you're coming up with 39 to 44 seats, which is way less than what was the last performance of the Congress party. So where are you going? Back to the drawing board?
But Mr. Amit Shah also didn't expect that Congress would be a challenger last time. He told you in an interview, and this was you personally, that they would get 150 seats. They half 10 puffed to 99. Congress reached 70 odd, and then they tried to break away the Congress. And even today, Congress is at 60 odd plus, 66, 68. On the contrary, in the last few years, the BJP has had to change its chief minister. Several of its ministers in the last 1 month, two of their ministers had to resign for corruption. People are dying because of alcohol. People who have raped women are being released on caste-based issues and are being felicitated by people associated with the Bharatiya Janata Party, and that's being defended. That's not the BJP that's not the Gujarat that the people of Gujarat want. But there's a larger point that I want to make, particularly because you asked me on polarization, and you made a comment. You said, is polarization going to temples? No, going to temples or going to a mosque is not polarization. That is positive, showing your faith or respecting another faith. What is polarization? Please allow me to finish. What is polarization? Is when the Honorable Prime Minister says in 2017 that there was a conspiracy hatched by the then Vice President Hamid Ansari to topple his government and nothing has happened. Polarization is when posters are put up all over Gujarat that Ahmed Patel will be made Chief Minister. Nothing wrong in it. Put up by the BJP, nothing happens in it. Polarization is when it's said that...
Are you saying Ahmed Patel wasn't a top leader?
No, you heard him.
He may have come from Bahraich, but he virtually controlled the Congress party, and he had managed to keep the Congress party together more successfully than Rahul Gandhi has. So what is your problem? If the BJP is lauding Ahmed Patel, Amit Malviya, what is Mr. Tehseen Poonawala's problem?
No, ma'am, you're not allowing me to make my
Tehseen,
point.
I'm out of time, and I can't give all the time in the world to you because you have 39 to 44 seats. The party with 115 to 125 seats also has to respond. Amit Malviya.
Look, Navika, I do take note of the numbers that you put out, and my belief is that we are a little ahead in time to talk about the number of seats because we are likely to do much better than what you're projecting. But even if these numbers were true, it's a phenomenal performance after 3 decades. But as far as Tehseen's definition of polarization is concerned, I'm shocked to hear that just because Mr. Ahmed Patel isn't around anymore, he believes that his posters declaring him as the chief minister was a polarization ploy. I hope the Congress does not use and throw its leaders at whims like this. As far as showing positive affiliation for faith is concerned, I haven't seen Rahul Gandhi go to temple any time after the last hopping that he did to appease the Hindu community. And that is what the Congress has actually come down to. I mean, it plays with the minority community, tries to appease the majority community, and that is exactly what has resulted them to reach the state that they have. The complete decimation is an outcome of this kind of appeasement politics. But let's come to more substantive issue, Navika, here. The truth is that the people of Gujarat will elect a government on the basis of track record, on the basis of development, on the basis of governance. And clearly the BJP's track record is there for everybody to see. And so is the Aam Aadmi parties in Delhi and now in Punjab. And that will weigh down. I think you have given far more number of seats to the Aam Aadmi party. And let me tell you, this is not a debut election for them. They have been there before also and did not make any impact. And it is likely to be the same this time as well, although I do believe that their vote share might go up from last time. And that is the reality of Gujarat. We can get all excited in the run-up to the election, but that won't change the truth.
Well, Jasmine Shah, briefly, freebies or welfare scheme, call it what you will, is that the way? Or is there going to be a bit of what is called polarization or religion, caste-based politics? Ke patidar Patel kitne honge? Will you appeal to all of that? Because there are almost 88.5% Hindus in the state of Gujarat, and Asmita and pride of Gujaratis has been applying that the BJP has fought on. And given the fact that Prime Minister Modi is himself a Gujarati, leading the country successfully over the last 8.5 years, that's going to be the calling card for the BJP. Do you think you're going into this with a huge handicap?
Not at all, Navika. Our biggest strength and versus, 5 years back is today people of the country and people of the world believe that something miraculous has happened as far as education and health precisely in Delhi. It's being talked about globally. If I ask people on the show who's Gujarat's education minister, very few would even know. क्योंकि इन्होंने इस पे काम ही नहीं किया है. But the biggest headline, looking at the numbers, let me just respond, Navika. The biggest headline today is that Congress is finished. For a party which won 77 seats just a few years back, today to come down, this shows the trajectory. By come December, I'll not be surprised if this is in single number. Aam Aadmi Party's trajectory is on the rise. People, and the other question, half of the people of Gujarat believe that if there is only one challenger left to the BJP, it is Arvind Kejriwal, it is Aam Aadmi Party.
That to a certain extent is true, but Mohan Singh Rajput, Congress Party को तो कोई seriously ले ही नहीं रहा. आम आदमी पार्टी कांग्रेस पार्टी की जगह लेती चली जा रही है लोगों के दिमाग में. आप क्या कहेंगे?
नविका जी, मैं एक बात बहुत स्पष्टता से कहना चाहता हूं कि पिछले 2017 के चुनाव में यही भारतीय जनता पार्टी के पहले प्रधानमंत्री बने 2014 में नरेंद्र मोदी जी का पिक टाइम था. उस समय पर 77 सीटें कांग्रेस और कोalition के साथ में 82 सीटें जीत कर आई थी. और ये आम आदमी पार्टी का भ्रम है. ये भ्रम जो गुजरात मॉडल लेके पूरे देश में और दिल्ली में पहुंचे थे, और जो दिल्ली वाले लेकर दिल्ली मॉडल गुजरात में आए, उनका हिसाब किताब 2022 के नवंबर महीने में गुजरात विधानसभा के चुनाव में गुजरात की जनता अपने आप बता कर दे देगी.
अच्छा बोला आपने.
धरातल पर आकर के चुनाव लड़ा जाए और बातें की जाए, वो अलग अलग बातें, सबके ख्वाब और ख्याल सब 2022 के दिसंबर महीने में सामने धरातल पर आ जाएंगे.
Jai Mrug, you always have the toughest job on the panel. 30 seconds to sum up the entire survey. Your takeaways. Unmute.
Yeah. The most surprising number here is the one which you're showing right now. 51% people think AAP is the real challenger and only 30% the Congress. This is absolute two double red signals for the Congress. I mean, you can even maybe have the numbers flip towards the poll. The number one may remain constant, the number two may change, and that is something that should very, very much unnerve the Congress.
Well, will it unnerve the Congress? They haven't been unnerved by the exit of Himanta Biswa Sarma, Jitin Prasad, RPN Singh, Jyotiraditya Scindia, Ghulam Nabi Azad. Will they actually see red now? Well, that's up to the Congress. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the Gujarat survey, and thank you to my panelists for being with me.